Welcome to the IAM Winter Solstice Symposium. Welcome. I believe I'm live. I guess I'll have to rely upon the Wind Clan people. I guess that goes to kind of the conversation that we're having today about what our thoughts create, and Merry Christmas. I just want to tell you, my cat just took herself for a walkabout, and so I'm like trying to totally be here present. But again, that goes to be what we're talking about today too. All right. Well, how is it going for you? Hopefully there's people keeping up on the conversation. And sorry about that little "am I live" in the middle, but I guess you're sitting here in your computers talking to the screen and you don't even know what's going on in the rest of the world. It kind of makes you a little bit crazy, but that's okay. That's how that is. And I guess we're live in the Wind Clan as well, and on the Practical Shaman page. And today, I'm not going to keep you a long time because it's Christmas and you want to be with your families. And I know I'm going to be cooking, and we're going to be sharing food with a neighbor who's not coming in for dinner, but she's going to get a plate of food. And that's our way forward here. That's what this is about, is helping to find our way forward. And you've heard people talk about how I talk about that, the Holocene coming to an end, and then the Anthropocene where we're in, and there's this gap. And Terry had the most beautiful picture of it the other day and called it some word I never heard of, but that we're in this gap. And in this gap, what the beautiful part of it is that we're going to talk about Ilmarinen today. And Ilmarinen, he was a divine wind, and he was created in that gap, at that time of creation. The one beautiful thing about all of these wind gods is that they were there at the time of creation, that all of this life force energy, that you want to call it chi and prana and all of that. And John Lockley the other day said it so beautifully. It's that inner wind. It's that inner wind that we connect to the outer wind. And that's what today is about. It's about, you've been tending to your inner altar, the one that's in your house. I can see them. I can see that, we're really invested in, all the there, and, how they look and how they feel and the power that they hold. And what happens is when we move from the in to the outside, we become more about, how do I show up in service to the wind? How do I show up in service to my community? And I was thinking about it this morning as I was preparing. Is one way to do is to take the simple look at where you've been this week. What are you learning about yourself through the altar process? I've seen posts on the walls where people start out like they apologize for not doing it correctly. Well, I'm here to tell you, not doing it correctly is doing it correctly. There's other people who want to focus on other people's healing and what they need. Well, I always say, turn the flashlight around and point it at yourself, because what you see in the other is what you need to heal in the self. The upsetting of the plans. I mean, I feel really sad today that there's so many people who can't be with their families or can't do Christmas the way that they want, or, that we're upset that, this has almost gone on for a year now. Well, the wind doesn't really look at it that way. I mean, the planet's been around for over 4 billion years. And what is a year? It's probably like a wind breath. and yet it's disrupted our whole life and our whole world. Then there's other people who are embracing every moment. They just live for ceremony, and it's just a magical, mystical moment when 400 or 500 other people join in with the ceremony with you. And that's just always beautiful. But some people, that's the wind that drives them. And then, so we tend to this fire, and it's the extension of ourselves. And that's how it is. So that was funny yesterday when we start to look at what can throw us off from our candle burning, what center. Those are the places to look now as we start to think about connecting this inner fire to the more global fire. And let me just kind of review where we've been. I started out this talk today with Deborah. It moved me deeply. I mean, but everything's been moving me deeply, but that really certainly moved me deeply enough to make it the theme song for the year. Then when Terry Morgan, who was the Keeper of the West, did her presentation, I was actually given a new flame, a new color, a new, the thing with our thoughts, they create form. And we're going to talk about Ilmarinen in a minute, but that in our minds, we have a red fire, we have a golden fire, we have an image of what fire is. What if that's changing too? So when Terry did her West meditation, I got a whole new purple flame, iridescent flame, and it would have been okay. I enjoyed that flame a lot. But then when Hank did his journey to the fire, well, again, when I went in, I was invited to merge with that purple iridescent pinkish flame, which was not any fire that I'd ever seen before. But remember, we're at this time of the Anthropocene when we get to choose how our relationship is on this planet. I always say, the earth does not need humans to survive. The wind breath will go on with or without us. So we get to choose how we want to be here in this next evolution. And there, then we talked to John Lockley. And that was like my brother coming home, because for me, all of the information in Winds of Spirit, well, except for a lot of the research, was revealed to me. It was revealed on wind walks. It was revealed when I would play the wind whistle. It was a direct revelation. And to find out that my direct revelation had very similar components to what we call the spin axis, which you're going to get to visit today, and the journey that we're going to do is the same thing that they call the spirit wind. And no one ever told me that. I never heard that from anywhere else before. So this to me was like, wow, his teachers revealed to him something that I was getting directly from the winds. And it's kind of like double proof. I love that. And then Erica Schreck did a beautiful, just a beautiful presentation on grief. And I totally recommend going back and opening up your heart to your heart. That's kind of how it felt for me, that I was opening up ability to hold that spaciousness for grief, because really, you can't be with your family. You can't hardly be with your friends. There's a whole lot here to grieve. And we're grieving the end of 12,500 years where we've lived as what Hank called in the fire clan. And now, who knew? I didn't know when I was writing the book that we were moving into the time of Aquarius and the air. So the Wind Clan, you guys are the early adopters. If you're here now, in 200 years, they're going to look back at, like, the Constitution, and we were the keepers of the Wind Clan, the bringers in of the wind. How exciting is that? I mean, it's humbling. It's, it can be impatient some days, but it's showing itself more and more as we go that this is where we're going, and these wind spirits are here to help us navigate the gap so that we can move from the end of one cycle into another cycle as delicately and as clumsily and as precisely and as out of the blue as we can't even know where to begin, because we don't know what we're going to take out of our smithy. And then yesterday we went, Heather did a clearing around the medicine wheel and ended up with Boreas in the north, about how we can merge with that spirit of ours, that merge with that wind spirit, and take us to new heights, to new places. And what I would want to say was that we have, I need to explain a little bit about the book, because I see a lot of people use the wind spinner and the wind cards and directly with, what's the quality, what words are they trying to teach me. And what I want to really invite you to do is, if you haven't pulled a wind spirit card yet, run over to the spinner on the Facebook clan, or pull one out of your wind sack, but pull a card that you're going to commit to working with for the rest of this fire tending. Okay? And the personal wind that I got was Oya, which was all about transformations, taking things down. She'll burn things to the ground that no longer work. And then you can build them back up. And she loves women in commerce. And she's a really transformative. I know people like Carrie in our group has worked very tirelessly with Oya for a long, long time. But we're gonna. The collective wind was Ilmarinen, the Finnish wind, the inventor, and I'm gonna read you what was written here in this book, Winds of Spirit, which, please, if you don't have it and you're enjoying this fire tending and you're enjoying this group, the minimal support I request is, would you go over and order a copy of this book so the publisher doesn't think that it's outdated? We want to keep this alive. We want to get other people reading this book. We want to invite other people to this clan. So it's curious to me that the collective win is the Finnish win, because at that time, in between, they had lost their way, they had lost their sense of their community, and so what better win to come when we've lost our sense of community and our sense of identity to come in here and help us? Because truly, if you're self-centered, you probably won't stay around the Wind Clan too long, because the Winds really want you to move from the personal to the collective. How are you holding yourself in community? How are you holding your fire? And and if you're too broken right now and it is all about yourself, and trust me, I'm pretty narcissistic most days, and so it's always about myself. Not always, but a lot it is. And but I can own that. And I can tend space at the fire, because, like Mother Teresa said, she could see the violence inside herself. She could see the Hitler inside of herself. And it's only when we're blinded to that our own capacity for inhumaneness that we really are at a loss. But when we know that we're self-centered, and we know that we're self-seeking, and we know that it's all about us, then we know that if we put ourselves away and tend to the flame of the candle, then we're going to start to have that transformation. Some people take and take and take and take from life like gluttons. Ask yourself today, as we move from this indoor to this exterior fire, or this exterior altar, which you can go outside and put a rock on your patio that you blow some wind into. It's not like this big statement that I have to go build the garden, rebuild the garden, but I have to be able to know that I'm holding this fire to move it out so that I can hold space for you, that I can hold space for the collective, that I can have compassion for somebody else's sadness today. It's not my story, but I can have sadness for my sister who, wants to be, to travel this week. I can have compassion. I can hold that place, and I can hold it without, can't you just get over yourself kind of judgment. No, I actually hold it, and I can feel that. So the Ilmarinen, it was a time of finding their own strength and their own nationalism, which we're trying to find our way back to our own strength. So magic is the key ingredient in this epic tale of a people who lived along the coast of the Baltic Sea. In the northern corner of Russia, Finno-Ugric mythology endured the test of time because it was sung. It was sung, and it was sung, and it was passed along. And before, there was a story about how there was two wizards. I don't even want to try to get the first one wrong. But Ilmarinen and his brother was the shaman, and Ilmarinen was he was the smithy, but he had a magical smithy. And in our journey today, we are going to go to our magical smithy. This will be the third time that we go to you've been tending your fires, and then Terry took you out to a fire, Hank took you out to the fire, and now I'm going to take you today to the smithy of creation. How does that sound? So what, his brother was a trickster, and he was always trying to get Ilmarinen to create something that he could trade for something that he wanted. And that wasn't necessarily the way that Ilmarinen created. And so Vanamon, he would get him to create, and then he would try to trade favors. And so one of the things of his creation was the sacred sampo. Because this was how he was going to get his beloved back from the lap, was to create the sampo and trade it. And so So he created and created and created, because not all creations are destined for this world. Did you hear this? Not all creations are destined for this world. And so when the sample appears in the flame, and it's a big grinder, I'll share a picture on the wall today, but it was capable of grinding out grain, salt, and gold. Now, if you think about grain, salt, and gold, that's the grain is what the community survives on. The salt was, I'm not exactly sure what the salt was for. But I was looking for that this morning. So if somebody knows what the salt is for, please share it in there. And the gold was for the prosperity. But these were all important components of what we needed in community at that time. So when Ilmarinen sets the four winds blowing in your life, which we're going to do in just a minute, the magic of alchemy is at play. But be wary, because the gold is not always of this world. And what does that mean? I think I told you the story about when I wanted something. So say you want something like a new car and it's not for you. Well, the first day you get in the car, it's what happens is you may have a fender bender, or you didn't pay your parking tickets and they lock your wheel or something like that. Because you have to remember that you want to create from a place of this or something better. When I was looking for my new home on Whidbey, I lost out at 3 different houses, and the realtor was just saying, well, that's an attitude. I said, yeah, this or something better, this or something better, this or something better. And then finally I went to the day and I said to the wind, this neighborhood, you find it. Imagine render, and you say, you do this. You take this to the Sampo and let it create from the flames what's in your highest and best good. And so in what I was creating was, in the next week, a house came up that I probably wouldn't have even considered on a beautiful piece of property because of my attitudes and my judgments. And yet it was the perfect piece of property. And every time I go over there, I just absolutely fall in love with it. So I want to read from the East. Until the Kalalaval was restored as their national tale, the Finnish people had long forgotten their origins. When Ilmarinen fans your fire, it's time to extract the truth from the brightly lit flame of the smithy residing in you. So we're going to take that flame that's residing, something that we're going to put outside. And that's going to start the beginning of the new altar. Now, people say, well, what is this outside altar? Listen, I'm not here to share all of my innermost secrets. If you really are feeling the strength and the pull of this community, because it's a strong force, join us next year for the 10-month program. And we'll teach you enough about wind and enough about wind alchemy that the forces of your divine spirit are going to come in and start to get your sail moving in the right direction. And all of the Wind Clan people who are here who have taken these courses can tell you it's about the grace of the wind coming into your life and doing the work and allowing you the space and time to do the work and helping you move forward. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have, because go back to your fire and see, were you punishing yourself? Were you feeling the power? Were you feeling very pleased with yourself, like I can do? Were you embracing it, or were you having sadness? Were you disappointed? Did it not go the way you wanted it to go? All of these different things are an indication of what the next piece of personal work for you is. And so if this moves you, if you think that it's something you want to do, go over to the website and check out the 10-month program, and we're going to teach you all about alchemy there. Enough about the commercials. Now, let's see. You're supposed to buy the book and fill out the application for the wind apprenticeship. So now we're going to go to the journey. And I was given a really powerful journey for today. And we're going to start it. If you have your wind whistles, grab your wind whistles, because we're going to start it with 3 deep wind breaths. We're just learning what the wind breath is. It's you breathe into the count of 10. If you can't go to 10, go 8, go 7. You hold it for 7 to 10. Then you exhale for 7 to 10 through your wind whistle. Now, if you didn't pull a wind spirit, join with Ilmarinen. Go to the smithy with Ilmarinen. In fact, you can call to Ilmarinen, and for me, it'd be Oya. I'm not sure who you pulled. Why don't you put them in the comments? And that way you remember what the wind was you pulled. Not the quality, but who the wind was, the wind spirit that you pulled. And so on the first wind breath in, we're going to connect to the earth. We're going to connect to the earth, and then we're going to, on the second wind breath, we're going to connect with that personal wind. And then on the third wind breath out, we're going to fan the flames of smithy. Now, a smithy, if you don't know, is a big gold dome. Think of a pizza oven where the fire is inside. And this is the place of magic. This is the place of creation. And this is the place where you, in and out from the smithy, whatever it is that you want to create. But remember, not all creations are appropriate. Like, when Ilmarinen got that beloved, and then he lost the beloved, and so then he tried to create a version of that beloved. And it came out to be this gold doll, but the gold doll didn't have heart. It didn't have it didn't have the work. It didn't have the food. It didn't have the energetics to sustain it. So when we go to that smithy, you're going to ask for a gift for your indoor fire, and you're going to ask for a gift for your new outdoor altar. You're going to find something that in this mind's eye of yours that you can take. We're going to blow the wind into it, and then you're going to put it outside today.